Hi everyone, Alan from Newlands Nursery, and today we are sowing tomatoes. If you've never grown tomatoes at home, they are absolutely fantastic. Homegrown tomatoes are one of the highlights of summer, and it's actually something that's been growing on this nursery for years and years and years. So we've sown loads and loads of tomatoes, but it's easy to do. Sow your own tomatoes. You can obviously buy them as plants as well, but I like to sow them. So I've got this cell tray here, which has got relatively, you can probably see from the side better, relatively small cells. So what I'm going to do is just add some multi-purpose compost in here. If you've got lumpy compost, then sometimes you have to take the big lumps out if you're filling a small cell tray. So we don't want to compact it down, but it takes a bit more encouragement sometimes getting compost into a smaller cell tray than it does a pot. So get rid of any big twigs or anything like that. Okay, just like that, and give it a bit of a tap and you'll see it's sunk there. So we're just going to tap it, top it up, just like that. Okay, so I've got 4 varieties, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to sow them in a row like this. Okay, so tomato seeds, they're not really small, but they're not massive either. You've seen tomato seeds in your tomatoes at home. But if I pour them on my hand, you probably can't even see them. What I might be able to do, just to show you the size, I might be able to tip them on the white here. So you can see that's the size of a tomato seed, which is what you kind of expect when you think about it, because that's the size of a tomato seed inside the tomatoes you buy from the supermarket. So I'm going to sow 1 seed per cell, which can be a little bit fiddly, there's no doubt about that. But I'm just going to brush that on, just like that. Just lay it on the top of the compost. I'm not pushing it down because it's a very small seed, but I'm just going to lay it on top of the compost like this. Okay. Then move on to the next variety. If you are finding it a little bit fiddly to do, what you can do is with a piece of paper, you could make like a little funnel, a little sort of V shape to tip the seeds in, and that works really, really well as well. But these are just about the size seed that sowing them by hand isn't too bad. Might need your glasses on, I should probably put mine on, but other than that it's quite easy. Okay, so like I said, laying them on the surface of the compost. All too often people are, with a seed like this, are tempted to really push them down, and we don't want them too deep. The rule of thumb often with a seed is you want it underneath the compost, about the same thickness of the seed itself. I've got slightly too many seeds for this one, so I'm going to put 2 in this end one. No problem with doing that. There's no point me saving 1 seed for a pot. And the last one, just like that. We've got loads, too many seeds in here. So I'm going to put 2 in each there. You could save them, put them in another cell tray, put them in a pot, whatever you want to do. Put 3 in that one. What you can sometimes do, if you're going to sow more than 1 in, you could separate them a little bit, and then when they start growing, then you can separate them afterwards. Okay, so that's the sowing part done, and that's what it will look like. Now what we want to do is cover it. So we're looking for a fine covering. I'm going to move this tray out of the way for a second, just because I want a relatively fine covering. So there's a few lumps in this compost, which is good for drainage and good for lots of things, but not good for sprinkling a fine layer across. I want to check there's no big lumps or stones. And then I'm just going to gently cover over like that, sort of moving your hand from side to side just quite quickly. So I just want a light covering. I don't want a deep covering. If you've got a really fine compost, you won't have to check it. So it's just as simple as that, just until you can't see the seeds. Now, tomatoes germinate relatively easily and quickly. So we're not really worried about the depth, but we'd like it to be quite a thin layer across the top of the cell tray, on top of the seeds. So it's as simple as that. At home, I would really recommend putting a greenhouse lid on, one of these things. That works really well after watering it to keep the moisture in. There's other ways of doing it as well. I'm actually going to put it in our growing area where we put loads and loads of seeds, because we're lucky to have that type of environment. But if you've got a greenhouse or one of those germinators, that would work really well as well. So if you've got any questions at all, get in contact. We're here to help. See you soon.